So far away, Lucas, who's your favourite blue character in fiction?
I mean, it's definitely the Avatar from Avatar, right?
Fuck that movie. Dr. Manhattan is a character defined by, depending on your level of maturity, his growing apathy towards humanity and its struggles, or the fact he walks around with his sapphire-hued schlong hanging out all the time. Now, given the nature of this channel, you can probably guess what we're talking about today.
Rorschach.
Is there a character who's like more hilariously misunderstood? I think we talked about like Rorschach in like a previous video, like Alan Moore hates everything based on his work, and the fact that people after like Zack Snyder's Watchmen came out were saying, "Oh man, Rorschach's so cool," to Alan Moore, and he'd just say, "Get away from."
Like they saw him for some reason as like the cool, almost like Batman-esque character, even though there's Owlman, who's a parody of Batman within that movie. And in that, like, series, and obviously, we can talk about how wrong or right Zack Snyder portrays that, but yeah, there's still a Batman parody character regardless.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, it's hilarious that the two movies he's best known for is one, that's a deconstruction of superheroes that he didn't understand, and then a superhero movie that he doesn't understand, that deconstructs the idea of superheroes accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, people don't know, like, Rorschach is a villain. Like, he's a monster, and Alan Moore has said so himself. When people come up to him and say, "Oh, Rorschach's so cool," he's like, "Get away from me." Rorschach is a monster.
Rorschach, he almost ends up as the hero of the book. He's certainly the character who seems to have the most ferocious integrity. Even if his politics are completely mad.
He beats people. Like, it's a satire of the idea of Batman. And, like, Batman goes and beats the fuck out of people and leaves them bleeding to death in the street. That's not justice.
We came up with the character of Rorschach as a way of exploring what that Batman-type driven, vengeance-fueled vigilante would be like in the real world. And the short answer is a nutcase.
It's like, Zack Snyder, whether you like him or not, and we've had plenty of things to say about him, he does a good job of shooting a lot of the panels perfectly shot for shot in that movie, but then misses the entire point. And like, there's still a lot of the remnants of that novel, the graphic novel within it, including the fact that, Rorschach accepts just being blown up because he knows that he's an irredeemable character.
Yeah, he knows that he's a piece of shit, but the action and the way it's framed, like, frames him as like this cool character who's doing cool things. Like, he like friolates that guy, which is an awesome scene, but it's like he fries a guy.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no, like that character is not redeemable in the, or not cool. Like, when you're, like, deep frying someone's fucking, like, that's something Jason Voorhees would do. Not a superhero. But, first of all, Lucas, we need to talk about why Dr. Manhattan walks around with his dick hanging out. And do you happen to know, like, the universe explanation, like, for Dr. Manhattan just, like, letting it all hang out?
I can only imagine, like, I understand the opposite of, like, they took away the big dong from the shots because of PG rating or whatever, but...
Well, it was an R-rated film. Like, the dong is in the film.
Oh,
if you watch the Zack Snyder version, you can see the dong right there.
There is a cut that's for, like, a less mature audience as well, right?
Yeah, there's some cuts where they, like, they edit around the penis, but the penis is right there, and that's what we're going to talk about, the fact that no one can stop talking about it.
It certainly was a notable part of the movie.
Yeah, we're also in, like, the comic books as well, like, the dick is just right there. Would you happen to, like, why the character has his dick out? It's
Even
kind of interesting.
In comics, they can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, like, no one can stop talking about his dick when it comes to, like, portraying Dr. Manhattan, but, like, the in-universe explanation for why the character has their dick out is it's representative of his apathy. And people wondering, like, how does having your dick out represent that you're apathetic? It's like, because he doesn't care. Like, he throughout the course of the original graphic novel, Dr. Manhattan slowly sheds his clothing, which is, symbolic of him shedding, his attachment to humanity. Like, if initially he wears clothes, then just, like, a thong, and then eventually he's like, just dick out. because he doesn't care anymore, and he only wears clothes in situations where he has to.
You can tell that it's apathy and not sympathy, because if he was sympathetic, he'd like be rocking a tiny little chestnut.
Well, that's the thing as well, because you've hit the heart of the matter there, Lucas, because a pervasive argument when it comes to portraying Dr. Manhattan is how big his dick should be. And I'm going to go to the authority on this one, about, Alan Moore and the artist he worked with, Dave Gibbons. And according to them, it's like, his dick should not be very large at all. The art is based on, classical Greek statues, which also had, understated, quite, neat, well-packaged genitalia, if you'll forgive the pun. That's, it's not in your face out there, it's just there.
Very modest, not like the big schlonga-donga.
Yeah, it's it's modesty. And it's not about it being big or small, it's about the fact that you don't even notice that it's there, because it's not front and centre. It's like, Dr. Manhattan is not walking around with his dick out so you stare at his dick. And something Gibbons pointed out in an interview that I read that I found really interesting is that, for the first couple of panels, like where we drew him with his dick out, you don't even know that his dick's out, because we didn't draw it to catch the eye. We didn't draw it as if that was the main focus. It's just there. And it's not until like 3 or 4 pages in that you actually notice, wait, is Dr. Manhattan naked? And he says that when they sent like the pages off to get approved, and they were expecting to get censored in some way, and the censors didn't even notice that he had his dick out.
That's a fucking insult and a half, though, isn't it?
It's not. It's because
No, I just mean like someone told I didn't even notice you had it out.
Well, that's the thing as well. But Dr. Manhattan doesn't care.
Because it's the way they frame it, obviously.
Yeah, sexuality and attraction is a very human trait, and throughout the novel, like he loses that attachment. So he loses his sense of shame and stuff like that.
Because I remember in the movie, and I say the movie is like pretty much a shot-for-shot recreation.
Basically, yeah.
The thing, even though it misses a lot of the points. But like, isn't there a moment where he clones himself to have sex with his partner?
Yeah, and he's just having sex with her.
Working in the other room, and that's what's more important to him.
No, he say he's just it doesn't matter. I can just do whatever I want. Like he treats that's one of those things like a bit on the nose, but at least Zack Snyder's put some symbolism in there. Like the mechanical, just clinicalness of him fixing a machine is the same way he approaches like a romantic relationship. Like something that's so very deeply personal, like very personal, like deeply human. He approaches it the same way he does when he's fixing an engine.
Yeah.
Like he has absolutely no emotional attack, and that's like, you start to see that detachment from humanity, and that's why he just has his dick out of like, well, clothes are a very human thing, so is modesty. It's not about immodesty, it's like I just don't care. There's no reason for me to give a shit because nothing can hurt me.
He doesn't get cold. He doesn't need the clothing.
He doesn't need to breathe. You even have that moment in the film, which I think is quite good, where he teleports to like, the moon or some shit. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot humans need to breathe.
Yeah, he's like on Mars, just building like his own construct to just live in peace away from humanity. Yeah,
but he brings someone there with him. He's like, oh yeah, I forget sometimes that people need to breathe because it's been so long since he even needs to worry about that. Then you have that again, that super on the nose moment, like a comedian. Where he's like, "You killed that lady." He goes, "Yeah, you didn't stop me." And he thinks to himself, "Yeah, I could have stopped him, but I didn't. Why am I letting this affect me?"
Yeah, and it's just like, he just doesn't care. And like Dr. Manhattan starts out as a human being, right?
Yeah,
and that's where like it's the gradual decline of care for human needs and wants. Like he was a human, and then it slowly like peels away from him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's it gets to the point where him wearing clothes seems more weird than when he's not. Like when he goes like, he's on the news or like the funeral and stuff. And he looks weird in a suit. Like he looks weirder wearing the suit than he does completely stark bollock naked. He's like, his dick just hanging all the way out, and that's where the discussion comes in. And people can't stop talking about the penis because, as mentioned, like Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore are the opinion that it should be it's there, but it's understated, like a Greek statue. When you go look at like a Greek statue, you don't look at its dick.
That's not the focus of the piece, and it shouldn't be with Dr. Manhattan either.
Yeah, and it was very important to both Gibbons and Moore that the Dr. Manhattan's like plutonium-powered penis did not draw attention away because it's a serious fucking story at the end of the day. Yeah. Alan Moore was trying to tell a serious story, and like it's beneath. He felt like beneath the viewer to care about that. It's like giggling at a penis being there is like something he found. Like why would people do that? And then, enter Zack Snyder, who had a very different approach when it came to portraying Dr. Manhattan's turquoise Todger. Yes, I wrote these lines. I'm going to use them because it took me a while to come up with all these different ways of describing his big blue dong.
And yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Multiple times, it's like Snyder got a lot of the way there and then just swerved at the very last minute and missed the point entirely.
And they spent a not insignificant amount of money on the CGI for Dr. Manhattan. And a detail that you can notice if you watch it is that there are tiny nuclear explosions happening under the surface of Dr. Manhattan's skin. And yes, those tiny nuclear explosions happen on his dick. Also, his dick has jiggle physics.
I can't really complain. Like, the amount of video games and stuff, and like the obvious example is like Dead or Alive going to the extreme, like jiggle boob physics. It's like, can men really be mad at the fact that one movie decided to have jiggle physics?
No, but it's that thing that I said. It's such a Zack Snyder thing to do that he's got to have a big penis. Mm-hmm. Even though the whole point is that like, he has it out and he doesn't care. It's not supposed to be noticed. One, if you go look at like I did, you look at old discussions like when the trailer came out, people seen previews, like all they talk about is the dick. It's like, Dr. Manhattan's got his dick out, and apparently that was really annoying for Alan Moore, because like, that's like this property I made, people won't stop talking about the main character's fucking penis.
Yeah.
It's like literally the exact opposite of the intention of that choice when it came to the like designing the character. Oh, but of course, it wouldn't be an Alan Moore adaptation without multiple people shitting on his original vision, because do you know what they did in the TV show? Because they took it one step further in the TV show. So, and The Boys is actually quite an apt comparison, because do you remember the dildo fight in The Boys?
Yeah, where like Kimiko's like, I'm just going to annihilate everyone with sex toys, and there's like, oh god, what have I done?
Yeah, and I love that interview with like Karen Fukuhara where she's talking about it, of like, yeah, I've got a fight scene coming up where I've got to do kung fu with a dildo. And you know, like the running gag they have throughout that of like, it's like so on the nose of just, yeah, everyone's got that fucking, the ginormous like Homelander one.
My idiot brain is getting fucked by stupid men.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and and this is a show that's a satire.
And you know that in that universe, Homelander had to sit down and argue with people that his dildo would be bigger than everyone else's.
Yeah, of course he did, yeah. And if you watch the Watchmen TV show, which I don't recommend, they have a moment in it where Dr. Manhattan's ex-girlfriend is like, oh, I miss Dr. Manhattan. She pulls out a dildo based on Dr. Manhattan's penis. I'm just going to send you the screenshot, Lucas. And like, you can tell, they spent about 5 minutes making this prop.
Like, what? There's not even a shape to it.
No! Like, that's the thing, it's the laziest prop I think I've ever seen. Yeah, ladies watching on, let us know in the comments of like, that cervix obliterating thing right there, like, would you want that anywhere near your nether regions? No, you fucking wouldn't. And it's like, yeah, that's the thing of like, they just increased it to almost comical proportions. It's like, at this point, who even gives a shit anymore? Yeah, and that's the thing, like, it's one of the most discussed things about Dr. Manhattan, and I find it so ironic that the whole reason his dick is out is because it doesn't matter, and people talk about it so fucking
naturally
much.
Humans have made it the only thing that matters.
It's like, you couldn't write this if you tried, like Alan Moore did, and then people shat on it anyway.
And I will say that, like, now that I've heard less favourable recommendation from you, it almost makes me want to go watch The Watchmen more on the TV show. Not necessarily for like good reasons, but we also always talk about like, you know, it's good to go and watch good and bad media for critical evaluation.
Of course, yeah. I think the reason I just don't recommend it is because Alan Moore himself is like, I fucking hate this. Like, they won't let me have Watchmen back.
Well, oddly enough,
they keep making new things so they can hold on to a license. I want it back.
Yeah, like, I also maybe want to watch it because, like, you know, I have expressed interest in the original graphic novel of Watchmen for, like, a Christmas present this year. And, like, my, like, aim is to read the novel because I haven't done fully in the past. I've just seen, like, snippets. And, like, it would be really interesting to sit down and evaluate, like, all three back to back to back.
Yeah, it'd be a fun, like you know, just experiment in a way to watch, like, read the novel, watch the film, watch the TV show, and then watch The Boys.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, that'd be a really
interesting. Watch The Boys.
Yeah, like watch The Boys after watching like the Watchmen TV show. Because basically, it's the same thing. It's deconstruction of the superhero genre.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like one has been handled a hell of a lot better. And it's
At
weird
least
as well
in
because
TV, yeah.
Yeah, and the weird thing about that as well is like the Boys, the original comic, is fucking awful. But the TV show's great, where it's like it's the opposite of the Watchmen, where like, the TV show's terrible, but the graphic novel is incredible. And people are wondering like, why are you saying that about The Boys? I should point out that one of the first things that happens in The Boys is that Butcher makes his dog rape a poodle.
Oh, I don't like that.
Because Edge.
Yeah, it really jumped out to me when I was looking at The Boys comic books as like a potential candidate for like a Wiki Weekend video. Is that it just seems like edgy and nasty for the sake of it.
It's because Garth Ennis, who wrote it, fucking hates superheroes.
Right.
No, it's a valid point, but like he beats you over the head with it, and like I say, it's grim dark to the extreme, to the point where you have like Butcher, like I said, he's commanding his dog to rape another dog, and like the villain, when we talked like the villain of like Stormfront in the comics, is like a huge buff guy with swastikas on his outfit.
Yeah,
and it's like it's just so on the nose, over the top, beating you over the head with its message, as opposed to like the TV show, which I think is like a triumph of subtlety. I say about like in comparison.
I was about to say like that almost makes it sound like the Boys TV show is being subtle.
No, I mean it's a triumph like relative to what its source material is. Like the character, like when we're talking about a show where they have dildo fights.
The essence of just.
Just for a minute as well, can we talk about like Karen Fukuhara and how fucking adorable she is? Because like
while nailing people's eyeballs with dildos,
it's like her Instagram's amazing, and the reason I love her is because one of my favourite shows is She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, and she's in that. She's Glimmer, and it's the thing. It's just her voice.
That was not such a great plan. The lab is very full of robots.
The thing is as well, like, who's like the hardest fashion icon in The Boys? And because I struggle to think, is it Frenchie? Is it Kimiko? Or is it Butcher? Because Butcher never changed what he wears, so he's committed. But like every other scene,
Butcher, but Butcher plays off that one look very well. But
he
Frenchie
and
Kimiko.
Look.
Frenchie and Kimiko as a couple, but I think like Frenchie's got to give the shout out because he changed up his look so often.
Yeah, he's just got the swagger.
Mm-hmm.
He's like confidence personified. Of like if anyone else but that actor was wearing that outfit, it wouldn't work.
No,
the same thing like Kimiko, just like all the just the fit is just so clean.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want a clean ass fit, you can go get. I see that. You see that? You can go to the Psycho store, which is collaborating with us for merch. Inspired by the Fiend brand, examples of which you can see behind me if I remember to edit it. Wasn't that a clean ass segue, Lucas?
That was a nice segue, but you almost, take away from the segue when you point out how nice the segue is, Karl.
You know what I'm doing? I'm doing a segue for the people who like the Watchmen movie unironically. I've got to explain it. You have to explain everything to them.
But yeah, go check it out if you like the idea of Knowledge Demon merch.
There's no more of that left. I've got the last few in existence.
But surely is Knowledge Demon 2.0 available?
I'm not sure, but we know potentially we'll do another collaboration in the future if people let us know.
Maybe
so I'm sure Psycho would love to do it again.
Hell yeah.
Oh, but man, we've got a couple of minutes though, so can we just talk about just the idea of just no one getting like Alan Moore's work and how frustrating that must be?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we've done a previous video on the matter. Alan Moore just turning into this angry recluse in the middle of fuck knows nowhere because he's just got so frustrated with everybody fucking up his work over time. And I feel the deepest of sympathies for that man.
Oh, poor Alan Moore! Joe, let's look at a list of Alan Moore's work and see what's been ruined. Alan Moore adaptations. It must be gutting for him. Mm-hmm. Alan Moore, here we go. Every movie, category films based on work. Oh god. Oh Lucas, this is rough.
Oh no.
Every single one is bad.
Oh no.
So Batman the Killing Joke, which is awful. Because they added a bunch of extra shit in, such as Batman sleeping with Batgirl, which everyone hated.
That is just horrendous.
They have Constantine.
Oh.
From Hell. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, no.
The film that was so bad it made Sean Connery stop acting. V for Vendetta and Watchmen.
Oh, that's
Every
so
single one is bad.
That man's career got, like, absolutely just murdered.
It's no wonder he fucking hates the movies. Every single one is terrible. They are all bad.
Holy shit. Like, not even a little bit bad as well.
It's not like there's, like, you know, one diamond in the rough there. They're all shit.
Can me and you just reach out to Alan Moore and just talk about, like, how shit every part of, like, Hollywood's adaptations of his work are? I just sympathise with him.
He just doesn't like talking about it. I would want to reach out to him to talk to him like his Simpsons cameo.
Mr. Moore, will you sign my DVD of Watchmen Babies? Which of the babies is your favorite?
You see what those bloody corporations do?
Like, he didn't even get one win.
Not one. Not even this. Not one.
And, like, it was so simple as well. When they made an animated movie of The Killing Joke, and all they had to do was take the pages and make an animated movie, and then they put extra that.
That's what
Nope.
I think. That's
They
what
put
feels
the
bad
note
to me.
in.
It feels like someone thinking, "I'm better than Alan Moore." It's
Mhm.
that thing of like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna improve on this." And it reminds me a little bit. It's a video we'll do another day, no doubt, with Citizen Kane. Where Citizen Kane, they were going to colorize Citizen Kane. And literally on his deathbed, one of the last things Orson Welles said is, "Do not let Ted Turner draw on my film with his crayons." It's like he mustered the strength one last to climb out of bed, like on his deathbed, to say "fuck you, don't do it." And the backlash was so extreme they didn't.
Imagine the balls to sit
to
there
edit
and be like,
Citizen
I'm
Kane.
gonna rework Citizen fucking Kane.
Now here's the first public glimpse of a version of Citizen Kane you'll never see.
That's what I mean. People do though. It's the hubris, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to make a Watchmen film. Are you going to just adapt it? No, I'm going to make it better. I think I understand the character of Rorschach more than the guy who wrote him.
Oh god.
But cheers, everyone. Tune in for the next one.